see what they do for push this country go before. Wake up your body and do something.
This is not the program. Do don't play with Baba Shah.
The same old system and the same problem.
So wait till we for do, we never did.
Wait for make this problem, yeah, so when.
Also, not just to come for me personally, now is Swadi. That means me to go radicals on the same day. Mr. Ibrahim Soye Kamara, I am the CEO for the mining company where they call Mayor, but also there as well for talk on behalf of the Chamber of Mines and Council. So let's see the first lady. Number 5 news, now that the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Timothy Musa Kaba Alhaji, don't arrive in Astana, Kazakhstan for 1 week-long visit where he counterparts the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs for Kazakhstan, His Excellency Murat Notliu, be invited for Didi for talk about how the two countries then will continue for work together. Number 7, His Excellency the President may receive Mr. Neil Richmond, the Irish Minister for International Development, who currently is alone on a working visit. President Bill Bittel take you to Ireland for the partnership with the Gary Salon and for the support to support the country. And Salon recently established an embassy in Ireland for continuing for strengthening the bilateral relationship between Salon and Ireland. Number 8, Madam First Lady just arrived in Addis Ababa, I think yesterday, in anticipation for that official inauguration where I just talked about. We now will take the seats now being as the president for the African First Ladies for Development. The First Lady talks immediately and he commits to continue for fact for women and human rights within a disposition. Number 9, the Minister for Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Kenya Bagay, currently they represent the country at the 58th session of the United Nations Commission on Population and Development in New York, and the theme this year is ensuring healthy lives and promoting the well-being for all at all ages. Madam Kenya Bagay will be one of the first speakers there in a joint statement on behalf of 78 countries and talk about what Salon they do and all of that. So I think we will tap in for a summary of the news. We will come for coming to that today, but just remind family. Some of the highlights of the government of Salon in the past week. Because today we get plenty for talk about today, and as I say, we get a very distinguished panel. For kicking off, I come to my colleague Emmanuel. I think say one of the media on the lecture, because I like for pussy face on our front page in plenty, because now I'm man also, but so now man, on the main man. Emmanuel, a straight shooter. Every time he talk, we must have been much about the mining sector. We learn a lot because they deliver a lecture, a knowledge, vast commitments to developing the sector in this country is truly remarkable. So, Honorable Julius Matai, the question I want to ask you is: will you 10 minutes? By the way, we get the time and I am. We can. Mr. Mani, you block me time now. So, sadly. Mr. Minister, the question is, which are the states of the mining sector in Salon? Currently, plenty mining related news today. Some good, some not so favorable. we know say you don't may work for deal with all the issue here. And then this week, you don't bring up everybody in the mining sector, pretty much in Africa and even beyond. You invite them in the days alone for mining week. So you take the first 6 minutes to talk about the sector. The last 4 minutes for tell you waiting now this mining week and this certificate and why important for Salon.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman, for bringing me together and giving the opportunity as well to talk about the mining sector generally. Of course, we know we're not strangers to the mining sector. Before my appointment in July 2023 as Minister of Mines and Mineral Resources, me and the Director General of the National Minerals Agency from February 2019. That's a technical wing of the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources, and then they provide support and technical advice to the ministry. Every time we talk about mining issues, I think sometimes people can only get to focus on the narrow aspect of it. Either social media, they don't see, they don't hold somebody for illegal mining, or maybe some strike they want somewhere here and there. So I believe waiting actually remit entail and waiting mining entail. Sometimes not everybody gets them. I'm glad I get this opportunity today. So when we talk about the mining sector generally, they cut across so many sectors, and it means we have to work horizontally, vertically with other government ministry departments and agencies. Of course, as we all know, all the minerals in this country, they are already above the ground. When they were inside the ground, when they were under the ground, they belong to the state and the Republic of Sierra Leone. And we, are the custodians and we the manager on behalf of the state, through the power, we the law, whereas in the law, that are the acts together with the regulations and other statutory instruments doing for them. And the mandate is very clear. That will make sure that Sierra Leoneans the benefit from the mineral resources that we have in this country. And we'll talk about mineral resources in terms of mandates and only solid minerals. So not too responsible for petroleum and gas that are petroleum directorate together in the office of the president. Severally, that misunderstanding cannot only here, but even with other African countries, because it's where other countries, Ministry of Mines, and it deals solid minerals and non-solid minerals. So I make that clear. We know only solid minerals we do it. And one of the most people in this country, from the common we don't begin mining in this country from bauxite, iron ore, gold, diamond, coltan, and heavy mineral sands, but we'll talk about that. Well, for managed mineral resources on behalf of the country, as I mentioned, and then we have to deal with other institutions, it means we have to look at how we administer the mineral rights. For give right to somebody, be a Sierra Leonean, be a non-Sierra Leonean, we can see why invest in the mining sector. Of course, that is classified into large-scale mining, small-scale, and artisanal. And it means now we can develop a mineral cadastral system for ensuring we know where we are licensed, who are coordinated with the lines with all other ministries and local governments and all other legal institutions, I mean, all the institutions within the legal mandates for intersect with the mining sector. So we demarcate the coordinates, we manage the license and day. Also we make assessment. Again, I make it clear. The Ministry of Mines in the end they will only collect money on behalf of the government. Assessment they do. They will issue order to pay. They go to NRA, and they collect money. So license administration number one. And making sure that money once it's done, we assess work with NRA to make sure the money will be accrued to the whole electorate on behalf of the government is used and distributed equitably. So also, we will issue the license again. We get the revenue we assess, we call non-tax revenues. That we assess royalties, license fees, with the government collect on the NRA. Then the tax-related ones, corporate income tax, withholding tax, all of them are the NRA collected and then they do the assessment. So we ensure make sure say the land we people use. I mean, we work with the Ministry of Land Secretary Planning because it's a Consumer Land Rights Act. We work with them for make sure say all the rights of the people, the traditions, the culture are well respected. We also get to work with Ministry of Environment and Climate Change for dealing with environmental issues. So before we give you a mining license, we make sure you do environmental impact assessment, and we look at your environmental footprint, we look at issues of climate change, we look at issues of health and safety over around the mining economy areas. Then even land use, so how they use the land and the entire country. We also get to make sure the communities that fully participate, as I say, their rights, traditions, and culture are protected, and making sure issues like child labor, issues like gender mainstreaming, issues like conflict redress and resolution mechanisms are in place, making sure also that the mining communities that we normally disproportionately affected by the impact of mining, how basically the revenue we are collect, when the government collect at national and local level, they cascade to the productive and development, and let us benefit from that. We also get to make sure we work with academia. We have a young man, a young woman in this country to make sure the economies already come, how they upskill and build the capacity, the capabilities, and the ability to make sure they participate meaningfully. So we work with academia, we work with schools, and we work with make sure we do research and development. There are issues about human rights we deal with, corruption, transparency, accountability through the extractive industries transparency initiative and the AITI to make sure there's transparency and accountability in the sector. We will also ensure things like the institutional setup, how the ministries that work with other MDAs. Say for example, the parliament, the cabinet, the NMA, the ministry. We also get institutions that will come on board like the Sierra Mines and Minerals Development Corporation, the Mineral Wealth Fund. How we work and make sure of course the laws are all right. Most importantly, the Ministry of Mines only formulate policies for guiding the mining sector. The NMA, they implement. So that policy formulation, in 2018, the government set up 3 policies. The mining policy of Sierra Leone, then the coverage data policy, then also coverage system policies. They only formulate, they only take them paper in the cabinet, making sure we get concurrence and agreement from the cabinet. And if we need to revise the law, we ever take on the cabinet and work through the parliament for make sure the laws are okay. What they said we laws and we have to ensure not only in the Sierra context, we have to be very much aware of what will take place at the sub-region, at the ECOWAS region. So we harmonize with policies and guiding principles in mining. We have to be aware of what will take place at the African continent. We get the African mining vision. We see Africans therefore benefit from the mineral resources through value addition and beneficiation will allow progress sustainable development. And Sierra Leone are signatory to so many protocols, conventions, and treaties. We have to be aware of that, including the Sustainable Development Goal 2030. We also have to ensure as we do this sort of work, the health and safety and labor issues are fully addressed. Because inside the law, apart from the act that we get, the recently revised Mines and Minerals Development Act, we also get regulations. And then we get the other one, the Mines and Minerals Operational Regulation of 2013, where they take care of the welfare of the staff, the people who work in the mining industry. They're well protected, their environment is well done, they're well paid, and making sure also they're skilled. So that then gradually, look at content policy they come in, we are in, especially foreign companies already can, big large-scale mining companies, that as time they go on, USAI, Sierra Leoneans are capable and capable provide similar quality of service. They can take them on board, come to them for enforce all of those things. Most importantly, we ensure the revenue will be assessed and will be make NRA through the Ministry of Finance and collect the benefits Sierra Leoneans to such an extent that it's not only who can talk with mineral rich, but also how we translate which we call natural wealth into social capital for impact on the lives of the people, so that we have good schools, good roads. We also, even with pride, with somebody next week. This is well respected. making sure someone can take infrastructure and development. So these are some of the general things that we do in the mining sector. And over the past few years, before I come to the mining week, as I said, if anybody will follow, I mean, in 2020, total mineral export from this country, that'll be about $310 million. By 2021, even with COVID here, the last year, 2024, now $1.12 billion. Take it back to Usa, with the way African minerals run on mining, they all be there. Well, maybe they say the mining sector they do well, they contribute to nearly 25% of the GDP. Yes, with these figures, there has been an increase, but the contribution to GDP has been in single figures, single digits, normally. One and two. People can ask how. There have been a whole lot of initiatives, a whole lot of sources of revenue which are going to come in. And most importantly, let us bring recent years. When you look at 2023 and 2024, waiting we
Yes, I just saw you will add 5 minutes for you. The 10 million, what they know within the resources, almost we get from the mining sector, and break that down. So we'll give time, take your time, break that down for we, and also look at the contribution of very specific minerals. That's why they accrue more than others.
All right. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. For put that perspective, don't like I see several okay, say. So you don't need from any mining sector, from any activities. Like people like could do that 3%, or you do 3%. 3% are royalty. The revenue stream from the mining sector diversified. As I can say, we put it into 2 categories. We get tax revenues. That are things like corporate income tax, things like withholding tax on dividend, on interest, on management services, GST, custom and excise import duties. That's again the Ministry of Finance and NRA. But the mining sector will go to call non-tax revenues. So that royalty, not just 1%, and I mean not just one stream. For bulk, which we call bulk minerals, iron ore. Bauxite, rutile, a value past $500 million. Now 8% you pay. Okay? For the one they do gold, if you are large scale mining, 5%. If you are artisanal, we don't reach up to 1% of the value. Now, in terms of those royalties, we do $8 million. But last year, 2024, it goes to $22 million with double. Alright? Then also license fees is another non-tax revenue. First term, license fees for the way the last scale mining license $500,000 you pay yearly. We fed through the revised Mining Minerals Act for those to increase up to $1 million, which we did. So with that, the revenue we put to the government in 2023 that be $11 million. But then that will back over to $22 million with double that. Now, when you look at which come in non-tax revenue, it increased from $32 million to $49.9 million. Again, I repeat, that are non-tax revenue. So there will be an increase. But of course, when you look, there was a decline in the total export. Which I mean by that, in 2023, that be $1.6 billion. But then, in 2024, now $1.12 billion, about 3.75% decline. People they ask why. We all know what happened at Sri Lanka. In 2024, we didn't stop production, sustained production. And Ruta are one of those who they contribute. So just ask you minerals. Currently, as I speak, iron ore, they contribute to nearly 70% of the total export from this country in 2024. Iron ore, the total value of the export in 2024 is $785 million. $785 million. I will attribute that to the 2 mining companies. Pigo Mining Company, where they operate Tokolini Fenbaya, and Marampa, where they operate Foki and Marampa Chief of the day. Kigoni alone did nearly about 584. Then Marampa, they get a slight dip, they paid about $149 million. Previously they did about 228, but they said they installed new plants. Now, just after iron ore, as I said, it responds to 70%. The next, the diamond. Diamond, I mean, we've been saying we are mineral rich, but we put it in context to compare to iron ore. It's not really that big. Last year, when I say last year, 2024, total diamond export from this country, now $102 million. And out of that, $82 million, like we do holdings.
What about the percentage for the diamond?
The diamond?
All number 70% if you give.
Yeah, diamond is just roughly 12%.
Okay.
Iron ore, 80%. The next most important commodity and the values of 2020, these are for 2024, nine are heavy mineral sands. A lot of people don't really know what heavy mineral sands of late. Anybody we don't go around Iperi, Jong, Lower Banta, Upper Banta, or Mwamba and all district where they seem to called black sand. So for years, the only two people know that Mr. Router they do the black sands because they don't do that more Mwamba area from the 60s. But then get a machine where they call them a mineral separation plant. So they have black dirty, then they separate ilmenite, rutile, and zircon, where they sell. The other small one, they don't get an MSP, so they have a cocktail of all the one they sell. Last year, Syria rutile, even though the production they did down, but in terms of exports for rutile, about $55 million, then they did about $34 million for zircon, then about $60 million for ilmenite. The other companies already say they don't have mineral sands. They did $99 million worth of exports. We're at the third largest sector in terms of export. And most of them are small scale because what we don't, only 3 years ago we began here. And what is small scale? You send your concession of more than 2 square kilometers, 2 square kilometers, 2 meters, 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers. Last scale, it normally be 125 square kilometers. So again, one thing I get to understand, the mixture of the contribution will change depending on the circumstances today. Now, bauxite, so long ago, bauxite until 2008, Vametco believe they do almost 1.7 to 2 million tons per annum. They will bring total exports of 64 million. But when I said no, from when the Russian Ukraine was that company will get a lot of Russian investors that they are affected. So from doing around 1.7 to 2 million tons per annum, they reduce that to about 300,000 tons. So the revenue they will bring not be really much. Now be about $10 million. And if you actually take 3% for reality, that's okay. Bauxite, good on. Then when we look at gold, you get several people that talk say, hey, we get gold, we get gold. Now 2 things that is artisanal mining, a very crucial. But at the same time, you don't need too much. I give you earlier, I say for diamond, the total about $102 million. When you do 82, but artisanal just about $20 million. And then when it comes to gold, in total about $11 million export. $10 million of that artisanal. $1 million heavy last year. Well, here's the good news. Over the last 3 years, we don't get license for large-scale mining license, mining of gold in this country. For the first time in history in 2022 at the NLA, we work with Mr. Rado Yoki and Timothy Kaba. We issue those licenses. But in the beginning, they're going to be doing over $300 million a year. Yeah? Most times, kilos. Compare that to Ghana. Ghana is 120,000 tons, for which they get, last year, Ghana, $11.3 billion. $11.3 billion for gold. How much we get? 11 million. If it did we compare, they're doing over $5-6 billion worth. People like this they take the money they go. But again, one thing why they summarize, this statistics were again, there was a time just after the war, when most mining companies of the work, that diamond will rely. Diamond was responsible for 85% of total export. Time country, when the diamond began go down, the router take over. Router that became responsible for nearly 60%. Then said continue, that time the iron ore was zero after we're London, I'm mining the African minerals camp, they take over. The beginning with 60 to 70%. But by November 2017, iron ore export stopped after Shandong Iron State and Gold. So from 2017 Till up to 2022, there was no iron ore export from this country. Just imagine, there was none, but now all of a sudden, they're responsible for 70%. Roots are not good on, diamond not good on. So, but there are new minerals that we try for the soil, concrete minerals. Lithium, we don't give a license for that. As I mentioned, heavy mineral sands that they come up. The diamond industry, they go through a lot of challenges. 5 large-scale mining licenses for diamond. Koidu Holdings, Mea, Tokuma, Sierra Diamond, and Searite. The industry did them right, but none of them the producers who know recently, which is happening at Koidu. Mea, we get representing now. I mean, that's not because here I didn't tell the best, most cleanest and kept mine, with a lot of potential. So I will stop there for now. To answer your questions.
Mr. Minister, I told you, I say anytime this minister talk, we all learn plenty. One thing they were we just clarify because when people hear the number here, it's easy for misunderstand. 2023, 1.6 billion in exports. You know what I mean? Say, now 1.6 billion government get a private company then. The private company they don't put their money for invest. The cabinet minister say government in they get money depending on the mineral we get 3%. Okay? And then we get what are non-taxable side they will say they get some money. So of that 1.6 billion 2023 government the indirect money they get out of that is still what, 20, how many million?
Like we just go take the receipt of 2024.
Okay, good.
Okay? 1.12 billion total value of export. Tax, non-tax revenue. That are the royalty, license fees, it go to about $49.9 million.
So about 50 million.
Yes. But then, NRA responsible for the tax revenues.
Yeah.
We don't think we need to. That are taxes. That's I mentioned that the corporate income tax, withholding tax, GST, import of fuel, capital gains tax, and all that they do. Normally, it accounts for about 10 to 15% of the non-tax revenues.
Okay. So it's another like 10% of the 50, which will be
right now, as I speak, we try for verify the figure that we NRA. It will work around about 7-8 billion. So we ask all something like $59 million.
So
actually, we not tax revenue, but you get other indirect benefits, things like PPE and other stuff. We of course, as your leaders with the weekend, and the more you have, the more you pay. So when we watch out of 1.12 billion, no zero of 60 million.
Very important if I will understand. It's not part of the public debate to always get on civics. We have a company there, they export 1.something billion, which we get less than 100 million, about 60 billion, I know that the government covers. And this, a lot of reasons, right? A private company, they can invest the money, and they make profits. When they make profits, and then they push small things, well, we put they through the system all over the place. I just want to let the headline be say, government may get 1.something billion. Yes.
One caveat, I can always tell people, mining is very expensive, it's very risky. We look for something, we don't see underground. Yeah? Where most of them people like actually people don't say to you, I don't mind the company with the mine or the community. Mine is very expensive. Let me give you an example. Now, Bauma, 2010, we will already get down the way, Clough will be the mine team going to last year. The Amara Gold can take over. The Algo can take over. The Lefa. Because the money they believe so they don't spend 20 million, 30 million. FG Go don't can be as I speak. They don't spend over $270 million. They still develop and they need development. The cost of before they go into full operation, they look at nearly $547 million. Most of that money and lend they will lend. And they get for the pay interest, they don't even pay the principal for future. They get profit, but the profit normally and later. So most people like can call a payback period. Imagine you take money they pour in. So what you always say, if government say people get that money, they go to them, they get the right people, the capacity, they don't politicize, the work staff, and all other stuff. Very key, but nobody want to take that risk because government get for provide hospital, pay salaries and other stuff. So most countries, that royalty, that's what they do, they take some they go into partnership. So for them, when I know say each company we can, they all get debt. But at the same time, we can sign an agreement with them for the other thing there. So I will stop here for now.
Alright. Well, what we do, I want to come to Mr. Ibrahim Soe Kamara quickly. And then Minister Pep will come back to you on Mining Week because you take so much time on the civic education part. You know, you will tell me about the Mining Week. And I also want to come back to this point where people they say why the country not get a stake. And I know say part of what you know try to do the many are well fund. And for let the country set get a stake, so we get percentage now of our exports. Like we have Kobe said we get a stake into this. But Mr. Kamara, you now mining, I can say magnates as well. Well, the minister just say one of the major mining companies in the country, he say obviously now I get the license for do that. We don't soon also make news, plenty tell when I can find some big diamond here and there, so I can joke up and say I'm each and then I think the other thing is with all this conversation about the state of the mining sector, when I get a personal experience, when I did it, and you also represent the Chamber of Mine, I want you tell Fambulem small about, from my own perspective, what's the state of the mining sector, which you can see, the improvements there, the challenges there, and waiting on our foresee. I just want to take you again, the minister to say you maintain or may your mind to maintain the cleanest, best run mine in the country. I'm proud for saying that Sierra Leone and my brother we get a major stake in for that kind of work. So congratulations on that. But you get you 7 minutes. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, Honorable Minister. First of all, I want to say the Honorable Minister of Mines did a very good job for explaining to we all, whether we understand some things that we more often than not we misunderstand about the mining sector. So I think I agree with you when the minister talk, we all learn. Now, again, so the minister basically summarized everything. So if I look at them from the perspective of the mining sector, i.e. the operators of the mining license, I would say this. First of all, from what the minister said, you experience something in that you see the volatility of the mining space. You see we come up from a stage where diamonds were up there, and then you see them pass the baton to iron ore, so which are sorry now to iron ore. And the reason for that is simply the market. The markets play a very big role in this. As we speak, if you look at the diamond market today, it is terrible. It has been so for a long, long time. It's never been this bad. Diamond market has never been this bad. And what that means is that mining companies and wading into diamonds get for suffer a lot. So it's not just about you producing the diamonds, you take it at the market, and maybe they will get enough for them to say you make some even marginal profit. And also the fact that now if you're in a stage, like a week for example, where the first will develop a mine for bringing a company to commercial production, for them able access capital is very, very difficult because investors are not interested in diamond right now because the diamond is bad, diamond price bad. But then if you look at iron ore, right now, iron ore there on the up. If we recall, the minister talked about the term where African minerals and London mining basically go bust. That was when the iron ore price plummeted. Today, these mines are flying because the price are appreciated, and I think that is the reality of the resource markets. That's how it is. Now, so I think the state will want to get to all of you, and I'm saying this as a Sierra Leone. Now, let me get this balance where you get all of these resources on the price is going up. And I think that would be the ultimate goal way, the ultimate place where the government want for it, because then the diamonds are doing well, iron ore is doing well, woodside, bauxite, and all of these minerals are doing well. I think that is where you want to do. But today, as we speak, iron ore is doing very well. Woodside has just transitioned, as we know. We now get Sierra and ownership day, and they are picking up from Woodside, the last management that they tried for do a lot of work, they're busy doing a lot of work. And then you look at, we get the mining sector, the diamond sector, sorry. The diamond sector is struggling right now, we're underwater, that is the simple truth. So if you listen to the export figures and all of that, it is simply because we're in a bad place right now. Are we going to be there much longer? It depends. Recently, the price pick up, we are beginning to see some life being breathed into the sector, and then we all know, well, very recently that the United States government decided for imposed tariffs across the board. You don't come into, say, the diamond sector and other sectors, not get for candy because investors are panicking. All now for see, waiting for me the outcome of these tariffs and how things are going to go, whether or not they're going to be short-lived or they're going to be permanent. If they're going to be permanent, people are going to readjust. So we get that momentary increase in the market, and then hopefully we will begin to see some joy in that the markets will begin for improve. But as it stands, that is the state. So when you listen to these figures, you see those huge disparities as a result of the way the markets perform right now. And if the market picks up, you will see suddenly the contribution of, say, the diamond space will increase significantly. But then because of the state of this, we did our way. And hopefully not for too long, and then things will move.
Thank you, sir. I'll just do a quick follow-up with you. When the shift here happen, with that implication for the staff and the people there. So like you come with some say they get conversation about who's gonna be in very very specific states now and business not go on or keep with that implication for the staff and the economy from my perspective.
So of course it goes without saying that in this sort of situation the economy will take a knock, because if you're not generating revenue, for diamond, for example, the minister talks about the royalties. When you export, you pay royalties. If you don't export, you can't pay royalties. So government takes a knock in that regard. Obviously, you still have to pay your mining license fees, so that is okay. And then it comes to the employees. The employees also therefore take a little bit of a knock in that you can cope up to a certain period. So if things are looking bad, you're not in production, no revenue is being generated, you will say, okay, we will hold on, maybe things will pick up. But if continually things don't pick up, you therefore begin to look at cost management measures. So for example, in your case, you have an operating cost, a monthly operating cost of in excess of $2 million. If you spend $2 million month on month out of shareholder money, they generate revenue, that is not good business. It gets to a point in man will say, you know what, let me reduce this cost there, let's find ways. And normally what mining companies will do, will look at things internally first, like what are we doing right now that we can do without? What we can afford for coping right now, and then you need for maybe adjustments in it. But then it gets to a point where you also need for being shared some weight. So you say, okay, do we go into retrenchment mode where you therefore let go a lot of the employees then, or do we, adopt other measures? For example, in your case, you send a percentage of the workers on garden leave, so they stay home, and then you say, we will pay una 50% of our salary. So you stay home, you get 50% of your salary, and let's see how things progress. And then the other casualty will be the experts then. Because the experts in the driving pay will go up. I mean, they're here, you feed them, you do everything. So, like we don't push over 80% of the experts, I think I can say over 90% of the experts are gone. Because you need for shed that way. And then you take other measures. You don't just simply mean you need for beginning a safe cost for let you able to stay alive. What you don't want to do, you don't want for stop operation completely. Because what it means, if you stop completely, for let you come back and restart, for let you demobilize and do all of that, it takes a long time for you for let you do that. So you don't want to do that, you want for hanging there to a point, and then you see what will happen. So government they take a knock in addition to the royalty in the form of pay. For example, if you lay off employees, then that pay is not coming to government. The NACI's contribution area for the happen. And then for the local community, which is perhaps one of the biggest concerns I think even government gets, now that with these companies functioning at full throttle, then we'll support the local economy. You know, people will do business, you get half-out shop steps, someone will supply them this and that. But once you stop, all of these businesses also they begin to suffer. And they will get some serious impact to the local economy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. The reason we make a glad we will get you and we ask the question here. This sector, with respect, such a critical sector, but most people don't even understand what they are doing. If you're not buying in person, we just do so you get money. You get money, no so they get million. But if finally people understand that these are businesses and they will take loan, when the markets go down, here is a major player. It explains the challenges that they face and how they affect we all. Because of what you know, acting for do it, Minister of Mines in policy. To Madam Ella, we'll be talking about the challenges, particularly in the mining sector, and from Mr. Kamara, we were discussing the challenges with the diamond sector, and I know that's the sector that you represent. Make a difference in dealing with the challenges that you all face. Why is it important that you all come to Sierra Leone, and how can this be useful for our country? So we'll give you 7 minutes as well, if you want, to help us understand the role of your association, why it's important to have this meeting in Sierra Leone, and how it will be useful for the mining sector in Sierra Leone. You can take the microphone, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for giving me this opportunity to be here. And also thank you very much to Honorable Minister Matai for inviting us and hosting our association in Sierra Leone this week. Before I answer your question, I'd like to share with you what the association is all about, how it started, where it's based, and some of its objectives. The association, the African Diamonds Producers Association, or acronym ADPA, is based in Rwanda. It was formed in 2006 through the signing of what is called the Rwanda Declaration. In that document, 18 African countries that are producing diamonds or had the potential to produce diamonds signed that agreement. And Sierra Leone is a founder member of ADPA, and it was there when ADPA was formed in 2006. What does ADPA do? It provides or seeks to provide a platform for African diamond producing countries so that they can cooperate, collaborate, and coordinate the diamond mining sector for sustainability and to ensure that the diamonds that are produced benefit communities in each of the countries that are there. I said 18 countries signed the agreement in 2006. As we speak today, the association is growing. We've just signed on our 21st member, the Republic of Mozambique. So the association now has 21 members. This week we have what is called the 10th ordinary meeting of the Council of Ministers of ADPA. The structure of ADPA is that we have the highest authority is the Council of Ministers, which provides the strategic guidance and manages the association. The Council of Ministers is made up of ministers of mines or any other ministry that is appointed by the respective government, but the majority are ministers of mines, and they form the Council of Ministers, which meets every year. So this year is the 10th ordinary meeting, which if it was a company, it would be the annual general meeting. Below the Council of Ministers, we have a committee of experts who are a group of technical experts that are appointed by the respective governments. They are all senior government officials, and they provide recommendations and technical input to the Council of Ministers. And then below that, we have the Executive Directorate, and I am the Executive Director of that Directorate, which is responsible for day-to-day management of the association. So this week, the purpose of the meetings is the Executive Directorate. We will report to the Council of Ministers what we have been doing in 2024, and also provide some feedback on the implementation of resolutions from the Council of Ministers, also look at the budget, and so it's a very important week. As today we have a workshop on one of the biggest initiatives that ADPA has got, which is called the Sustainable Diamond Standard, which seeks to standardize the operations of mining in the different countries, but in support of responsible mining and sustainability.
Madam Ella Muchekwa from the African Diamond Producers Association, and as I said earlier, welcome to Salou. We say Salou. Mr. Minister, before I open up for questions, I want to give you a chance to talk more about Mining Week. We don't just hear you say one of the biggest group of Minister of Mines on the continent. You don't mean the whole country alone. The colleague ministers are there. This is a big week for the country. We get experts there on all kinds of mining sector, different kind of people from the sector there. So, what did the people of Salou for expect? What did they install this week, and why this is important? This time we hold you to the 5 minutes.
Yes. But I have some 1 minute extra for just summarize with him and Ella talk. So then when I don't misunderstand, I just go gather other African ministers and come. For the past 2 years, the ADPA organization we don't talk, we have the vice chairman. Every 2 years, we change chairmanship. The Minister of Mines at Zimbabwe we have the chairman, we have the vice chair. So this year, a new opportunity to take over so that they can hand over the
Mr. Chairman, congratulations.
Yes. So we are
chairman for ADPA.
For African Diamond Producers Association for the next 2 years.
Wow.
So me and Sierra Leone will stand so that they can hand over. So what we know of this, we decide say, let's not do 2 separate events. Let's set up a mining week. We do it together. And this is the first time this. Someone now, the work ended the National University in 2013. They began a mining day. Whoever says whoever can mining week. For the one that we know, May 2021 we do it, Judith and launch Bitumani. But this time, with the progress President Julius Bill vision from 2018, we don't come and we don't see, as I say earlier, from $310 million worth of export to $150 1.6 billion a few years ago. We believe so we need for bringing people together and let them understand which we do. The theme for the mining week, when they run, as far as we're concerned from today, they end Saturday. Now sustainable mining and shared benefits. Bringing Sierra Leone's mineral wealth closer to its people. You don't talk a lot of misunderstanding about mining. So my colleagues that will take over, Guinea, Liberia, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Cameroon, Namibia, South Africa, Mozambique, Tanzania, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, they're all the part of this. They will get even observers. We now from Gabon, Russia, Algeria, Mali, Mauritania, and we send Mozambique. Not all they all come, but majority come and send representatives. So we believe so we just can't get the ADPA meeting, but then they also can see how this Sierra Leone mining sector will work. So for that, we get exhibition. We get 2 days, 2.5 days for ADPA, and that will continue with the exhibition. We get President, His Excellency President Josmina Building officially open on Thursday in the morning. Already the exhibition was a day up. All the largest mining companies in the country did participate, but a few really go through challenges. So we bring in also the investors of these mining companies, not only the one that really one that really are bringing media, politicians, policymakers, from everybody, including those who provide service-related, money-related services. So the banks, the insurance companies, they don't only provide exclusive, don't only provide catering, don't only provide security services. So there are opportunities for them. Australia by invitation, we already said they're out for some time. Because we don't transform into money into something. We initially actually see this people in Naba and South Africa. We don't really raise the level. But now we do that. Plus if you don't tell your story, now that person can tell. Some of the things we just mentioned, the minister, we Mr. Kamrasi just mentioned, and you want to say this to people. The mining companies, they cannot salon because they like President Leo, or they like me, or because they like governance, or democracy, or they want to be school. They can purely for make money. That's the problem here. All mining entities are business. They are able to share with them. The first thing is to make money. And we, your job, now to make sure we create the right environment, let them make the money, and then make out the share with the government and the people. And we say benefit and grow. Maybe to the point who say they go to your leaders like Mr. Kamara and Luna, who said we go with that budget in the mining sector. Because now only when the money stays in the country, we will develop. Some of the money will just will go out. The lawmaker clear say for bring some back. Will help with foreign exchange as well. So the more that people will be better. So the mining week, we believe that the first 10 days, the National Sierra Leone, wherever we to mines and minerals accident from beginning 1994 to 2009, will bring this amount of exhibitors, sponsors. This is going to be followed by a lot of panel discussions for let people really understand. We bring experts from abroad, experts from other ministries, departments, and agencies. And encourage that consultants that will provide services to them mining companies them all day for them to understand whether they provide loan, how they structure, or not kind of money they go there. And we do that with the hope that by Friday, Saturday, we will close, we will get an outdoor concert as well in the car park of Beach Money. For make sure everybody come together. So not we just go and listen, long technical presentations then. But also we want to make sure for the language mining very sexy. Because we don't bring a whole lot of people that do sex on young people. But we're not going to Tonkolini. We don't get young women. And we want to bring women to mining as well. We're engineers that don't do internship with the enemy, the elected engineers and the mining companies. So we want to bring mining very closer to the people, not only through panel discussions, also with microwave, but then we'll shake body, they'll discuss, then we also put names to faces. If we don't want this minister and sexual justice, when I know they say about the dance, when I go see how they dance, how they actually do something at the mining sector, for still say about I'm not technical and I don't tell this about then talent again for dance, then we invite you now. We want to make sure you can register. The exhibition is there and really, really encouraging. When I go see, and there are people on site, experts, and we coordinate ministers. We don't so the way we don't even say when they don't sit on they come for 2 days. We couldn't say the day we take Sunday. And majority, more than half of them, unfortunately, they can't salute. Madam Ella was sitting there saying, you know, she's from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is landlocked. I said, we have something that Zimbabwe never had. Where it's money, you can look through the window and see the Atlantic Ocean. That's something you don't get in Botswana, you don't get in Zimbabwe. But one of the key things I just want to mention, we just mentioned, you know, this thing here, what they do, like you report the community development funds. We, the mining community, they give to community. Then a few months ago, we go Madam Park, they give $3.75 million. Next week, we go Kingo, next week, Tuesday. They said they won't give money to the communities. So we get community development funds. Then mining district areas, and we said they don't benefit from that. We get mining development, district development fund. So at Puya, at Biguna, all the questions they want to get to answer on there. But if we come, that means money, we get the whole sector. The whole group set up Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources and the National Minerals Agency. We said the story matter expanded for continue for engaging dialogue. And we said today for explaining to her, the more we understand each other, the better. And I think we're proud as you're giving us some opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would just want to add, say, the Minister talk about me dancing talent. I would tell her, say, this minister, he get plenty of other talents there. We are not going to announce now for security reasons. But we will see a display of the Minister of Mines. But the evening concerts, that doesn't require registration or that in our.
The evening concerts, open concerts. First come, first serve.
Right.
During the week, we know you can attend, we register, we give you a wristband and registered. Then we get something available that day because for security reasons and other stuff.
Wonderful.
So do when I make sure say when I register, when I see advertisement all around the QR code a day, go in and register.
Yes.
Go
we don't share, the ministry don't share that as well. Okay. We don't hear a lot. We get about 30 more minutes. And today again, we stick to the time. So now I want to ask questions. I want to see the people that will ask questions. Coleman will ask questions. I want to see all the admin of one second. Because we will pass with the so good. Monday out still. Alright. Today we start Ubaya, then we go Ubaya. So una wait, I don't see now. Una wait in here, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. We'll take about 6. We'll take all 6 together. We'll keep up straight to the point, please. So we'll take all. Please, panelists, will take notes. I will end on answer. Go on.
Yes, Mr. Minister, Mina, Obadan Kamal, I from UCTZ newspaper. Since you don't serve as director of NNA, I want to know community development agreement, because based on the Mines and Minerals Agency Act of 2022, it clearly states it will be public. But we don't deal with any mineral right to access the information for the past 6 months for a certain mining company, the community.
Call the name, you see access information.
For a particular right to access information, I don't know now right to access information with a particular mining company forget their own result. So the question here I want to know is the FG Gold Mining Company, the 300 million or so are starting to be collected, export where they make, right?
Well, let go.
Yeah, now they are starting to be corrected.
Yes.
I want to know, they're still in prospecting stage or they don't complete that?
Good question.
And lastly, the community development fund, the agreement, community development agreement, because based on the act again, they will pay 1% on a yearly basis. FG Gold Mining Company, they don't pay the for 2023-2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2. Let me put here for clarify. Yes, boss.
Mohammed Conan Aline. I work plenty as a financial secretary for Sierra Association of Journalists, and I also work for Media One. Mr. Minister, you talk about a the amount of money where the mining sector, which is around 1.2 billion or so, and 58 or 60 million come back to Salona. Is it worth it for the amount of environmental destruction and devastation that will take place? That's just one. And also, the Minerals Development Act of 2022, when you placed the Mines and Minerals Act of 2009, is under review, waiting there to that review. And finally, the community agreement, CDA, community development agreement, CDA. One example I would cite has to do with the money way Manapal Mines in the last time, some around 38 billion euros, looking at the development for taking place in the various communities, waiting at the monitoring aspect that happen compared to the kind development, the amount of money, I go compare them to the design.
Thank you. Number 3, quickly, please.
Yes, sir.
If you are not repeating again, we will ask.
We have the right for exclusive. Mr. Minister, recently, Energy Ministry hold a press conference in which alleged, mining activities within the Duna lakes of form. They don't disrupt the Bumbuna electricity, Watawi, the Guna and the dam. Una as a ministry, which you will do for ensure stop the award of license to people that really mine along that lakes of money. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Next, number 4.
Yes. Binebna Mahmoud Salah from the Nature newspaper. The question goes to Minister of Mines. Mr. Minister, I understand the ministry now set up an environmental management unit. I want to follow the activities of that environmental management unit, what they have been doing in terms of policy formulation.
Thank you. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Jaffa.
Mina Jaffa Matzidis from New Democracy. Minister of Mines, they talk about putting names to faces, but I want to take you back to the when we get President Biona into mind this conference. Yes, so President will talk about how we will begin to mining tourism. And I bet you, we told you by the way, we don't call it that. Past people we know, but we say we number. Now I go for appreciate some of them numbers today. But if you not study the value of waiting certain mineral, be like, for example, when you go down, waiting a diamond in value, you don't go for appreciate some of them normally way also. So the question is, what are the ministry efforts with regards to President's statement about mining tourism for make citizens of this country able to know about some of the products they will get?
That question the name they could do mining week. Okay, go. Yes, last one.
Tara Wakaname, Concord Times newspaper. Mr. Minister, you start off your statement with issue of illegal mining, saying a very challenging thing where mining communities face. And when you look at the district of Ikono, and you also look at the district of Tombolili, among other districts, the issue of illegal mining not very, very pervasive. I mean, they're all about. So we question that, what did the country lose as a result of illegal mining? What are the percentage? Secondly, perhaps most importantly, the issue of the holding. Talk to me about the current state of the issue of the holding. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. So we get very good questions. Mr. Minister, you're very popular. You go to us to finish at 3:30. So all the questions are basically now you get the question there. I think so you don't take notes, so not all this time for repeats. You go ahead. Yes. If you miss anyone, I'll remind you. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for
those questions. The first question from Mr. Camara, new citizens, about FG Gold. First, read the statement that says FG Gold will spend over $300 million more and projected to spend over $500 million for developing the mine. We give FG Gold the license about 3 years ago. You know what we give license, you go through stages. You know what to call mine development. Anybody representing mine inside, go see the kind of thing that we did. You know, you get processing plants, you get machinery, you get your power station, you get maintenance, you get geology department, HR, you get utility sport, a whole lot. So now we can say a lot of sunken costs. So you get money with the poor. So now that they do. FG will not go into production yet, and mine development. And just for clarify, you see, the community development agreement, you only begin paying, contribute to the community development fund when you go into production. And the law make it clear that 1% of your gross revenue of previous year. So even if FG Gold starts last quarter in 2026, they're not going to pay any CDF, they don't contribute to a project in 2028 because they go down the audit estimate for 2027, they can take 1% of the gross turnover and pay. So like that. So company just realize you begin pay community development or fund. And of course, the community development agreements now between the primary host community and the mining companies, basically, they are involved into it. They get committee, they set community development committee, the steering group, will deal with that. So that makes it clear. Not just go see mining company begin develop the mine, you say for PCDF. Now, only when you go into production, you don't export 1% of your previous year gross revenue. Now, from that, you pay. First, that money at 0.01%. Under President Julius leadership, we revise the Mines and Minerals Development Act. We don't make it to at least 1%. As I mentioned, when we go Marapa, that be $3.7 million. They pay for 2 years. The year before that, that be 1.7. Kiko said they don't go pay 20 billion, all money that they pay 56 billion. I will believe this year will double because of the total export. So they know that Vanilla Chief now way FG Gold operate, then they develop the mine, and after break on it, and finish the mine development, then they go to production. The second question, Mr. Mohamed Kone,
The question says whether it's worth it considering the returns on the way the country they get and the effect on the environment. If because they do 1.something billion, we get 60-something million. Is this worth it? Considering the effects of the environment.
When we undertake mining, we put somebody can apply for mining license. They get criteria where they meet. If they go you mine plan, if they go you community development agreement, we look at your financial model. Then also if we do environmental impact assessment, we basically the environment protection agency, we at which the mining sector is very important in Kisino. If we look at the balance between the environment, the socio-economic benefits, and so they do cost benefits analysis. For ask yourself, say, okay, you go mine at this place, let us say what are the maybe some forest day. Waiting at the mitigation measures the way we take for actually avoid, if not to avoid high management. So there's a study where they look at the balance, whether they worth it, and when they do that, they get for the license. So if the EPA don't do your license, it means they don't do your assessment, they don't look at your environmental and socio-economic footprint, and balance them, and go ahead and look at it worth it. And then work in conjunction with we say that the mining sector, that financial model we don't come with, we look at it, look at your paper period, look at your net present value, look at the other cost of debt and other stuff. So most times when we don't get license, it's worth it. But as a human being, we have to find that balance between those with the favor of mining, those who are for the environment. At the end of the day, which we want, this mineral resource we cannot give it. Not only the mineral, whether in water, whether in a beach, whether in the air, whether in the forest. Man must live, and man must balance the activities and information so not to bring future generation of them benefits the day. So for me, anyone who don't get license with a mine is worth it because we don't work with other government departments and agencies to do full assessment, especially EPA for say the environmental degradation footprint, is worth it. And most times, what did happen? When they get a license, you get what we call environmental social management plan. So if you don't even avoid, you come with a plan to show this, that's how you're dealing with it. the regulatory agencies, then they continue for monitor, and when you don't know for rehabilitate the inclusion plan. So I think it's worth it as an answer. Question number 3. Sorry.
What's the reason for the review and agreement?
No, question number 3 was about the press conference. If I got it, question number 3 was about the press conference in the Ministry of Environment, Energy about Nixon Form. What has the MM done to stop award of license?
Okay.
Yeah? Again, areas that we're very sensitive in terms of wetlands. You know, we don't need license inside lake or areas that are protected. If you go the NMA website, if you go to the ministry, the NMA, they get the mining industrial administrative system, and they get the US departments. We don't map all the areas of wetlands or get forest reserve or get protected areas. We will work together with EPA for ensuring where we get license, we will do to grant proofing, we don't have to coordinate. That's enough for the areas that have been marketed either to be sensitive or be, signatory to so many protocols, conventions, and treaties that we don't go against those. So what will happen in some area is rather unfortunate. We get problem. Where they go in areas. Again, let me make this clear. Why would I use that term illegal and illicit and think I don't bring this? We get people who get license. Genuinely. We don't say this and make some for the day. But then go beyond the boundary. They get license. So it's not illegal. But if you go beyond that boundary and do things that are not correct, that's basically like illicit mining. They take care of the environment. They take care of other commitments. They will get the one the way illegal. We don't get license at all. So then they go do things then. And sometimes they get people who are illegal, they don't get license, but when they don't do something, they cover up. They get people who get license, if they don't do something, they don't lock up. I can always give, say, I'm sorry for me, example I can always give. There is no law where they say marijuana for Gafia. No, so marijuana. Illegal, but illicit. Then they got illicit affair. No law there. But if you go to a morally, they're not correct. So that the same thing, what you like see, you can like see, don't worry, you man. So that one they get license. They do illicit things then. Yeah? Then the one that they basically, of course, we don't get people that are very innocent and activities are not correct. So when it's about the try to distinguish between illegal miners and illicit miners. Yeah? So what's the happening? So unfortunate.